Today's date, Sunday, June 2nd, 2024. We're here at Lanham, Maryland with former Prince George's County Sheriff, and before that, distinguished Prince George's County Police. I'd say lieutenant, but I think it should have been captain. Rafael Hilton and his brother Ricky Hilton, former U.S. Air Force machinist, also technician at Blue Plains recycling and waste management plant. But we're here for something sad. We're here for something also glorious, the life and times of our brother, Roberto, Chief Roberto Hilton, Police Chief of Prince George's County, who died Sunday last week. Rafael, it starts with you more than 25 years ago. Good morning, sir, and our condolences from the Christian family and our law firm to both of you and the entire Hilton family. We've been family for at least a quarter century. Your older brother Leonardo Hilton worked with us, and of course we had the honor and privilege of representing Roberto for many years. Good morning, Rafael. How are you doing this morning, sir?
Well, good morning, my brother. Due to the circumstances of unforeseeable events, we are trying to deal with this tragedy to our family. We are still trying to reel from this situation which every other family goes through, but this was sudden to us, and we're trying to pull together the family and attempt to move forward. And we sure thank you for coming over and visiting us, offering us condolences. And at this state of what's happening, it's all about family and friends, and that makes it a lot more easier to deal with this situation.
You know, Rafael, I was in the midst of a big case 25 years ago, and I went to police headquarters at Barlow Road. You want to tell us what happened? Because that's what led to the family relationship.
At that time, I was the commander of robbery section, Prince George County Police Department. And if I'm not mistaken, you were like a new attorney in the county.
Yes,
No,
sir.
but not too many people knew who Christian was, a Christian law firm. And you came here to see a client, and evidently you were not treated well. So I stepped out there and stepped in and make sure that you were able to visit and interview a client, because he deserved that. He deserves to be visited by an attorney, and I made sure that his constitutional rights were observed.
And brother Rafael, I will be eternally grateful for you, because that later turned into a family relationship. Through you, I met Roberto. Of course, I met Leonardo. Leonardo worked with us. We went to Panama together, worked with the Panama Canal Workers Union, because the roots of the Hilton family reside in the West Indians who went to Panama to build the Panama Canal. Am I correct?
Correct. Our grandfather from my mother's side came from Barbados, and he was heavy in the unions. And then my father's side, they came from Jamaica. So they all went to Panama during the 1900s, during the construction of the Panama Canal. So during that time, that's when my father and my mother met. My father, Mr. Rupert Hilton, was the first chef that I ever had in the Panama Canal. He started first to work at the Washington Hotel in Cologne on the Atlantic side, and when they closed the hotel in Cologne in like 1957, I think it was, they transferred him to the Tivoli Guest House on the Pacific side. And that's where we moved. We were living first at that time when my dad was working in Cologne. We lived in Rainbow City. So we moved to Gamboa, which is the town of Gamboa. And we have our little town where the black people live. It's called Santa Cruz. So that's where we lived, and then we moved to Pedro Miguel.
And what was your mother's name?
My mother is Bertina Cecilia Padmore.
Podmore, that's a very famous West Indian name.
Right. But to
And-
go back now, while my dad was working at the Washington Hotel in Cologne, Roberto was born in the Naval Hospital Cocosolo. He was born in 1957 in the United States Government Hospital, Naval Hospital Cocosolo. And that's the same hospital the illustrious Republican Senator John McCain were born in.
Yes, indeed, indeed. And where were you born, Rafael?
I was born in Gargas Hospital on the Pacific side. In
Were you born in the zone?
Yes, we all born in the Canal Zone. All of us born in the
And
U.S. Canal Zone.
What is special about having been born in the zone, Rafael? You can tell us. If I go to Ricky.
The special thing is that living in the zone, we lived under American laws, under American governorship. We went to American schools. Our education were bilingual. So we were really prepped to live in the United States because we lived the way the people live in the United States. And to me now, it was like a sanctuary that provided for us because we had our school, it was American school educated, although we call it Latin American schools. We had the law, the police, which was under U.S. government. So all the things that we did was really a transplant from what the United States government operated in the United States back down to the Canal Zone. But even the grocery store, they brought in the food from the United States that we ate. You know, so we really were primed to live in the United States.
And when you were born in the zone, were you born as a Panamanian citizen or U.S. citizen?
Well, we were all born, if your parents were Panamanian, you were a Panamanian citizen.
Okay.
If your parents were American citizen, then you were an American citizen. So the American kids that born in the Canal Zone, although we born in the same hospital, they took on their parents' nationality and we took on ours. But we got the same birth certificate that they got, we got the same one, same type birth certificate.
You just said Panamanian instead of U.S.
Yes.
Okay, Ricky, let me go to you. You were born in the Canal Zone as well, and I didn't get into Rafael's service. I'll get back to that, but we're here, of course, for Roberto. We're going to talk about Roberto, but you were born in Panama, and what did you do after your schooling, your education?
Well, when I came out of high school, I took an exam run by the U.S. Civil Service. We had an apprenticeship. We started to train Panamanian citizens to run the Panama Canal. So I was able to pass the screening test, and I was able to go to the Panama Canal Apprentice Program as a machinist. It's a 4 years, highly technical training program to operate the canal.
Because at that time, the canal was coming from the, let's say, administration of the U.S. government to the administration of the Panamanian government.
Not as yet.
Okay.
I started in 1968.
Okay.
And I did a 4-year apprenticeship on Locks Division.
I
And
see.
we always know the Panama government, Panamanian Republic of Panama felt that it was an unjust treaty, and we always knew eventually the canal was going to pass over to Panamanian jurisdiction.
Yes, indeed. And I see you were in the Air Force cap. When did you join the Air Force?
When I immigrated to the United States, thanks to my brother here, I went in the U.S. Army for 3 years, 2 months, and 28 days. And when I ETS from the Army, I had an obligation to the government for 6 years. So I joined DC Air National Guard, which is a branch of the U.S. Air Force.
Okay. And what did you do in the Air Force?
I was a machinist called Metal Technology in the Air Force.
So you're a skilled worker fixing planes.
Yes, sir.
Indeed, indeed. And well, I want to thank you for your service. Before I go back to Brother Rafael, tell me what the life and times of your late brother, Colonel Roberto Hilton, who was the first Hispanic chief of police of the Metro DC area. Tell us what his life really meant in way of his service to our community.
Roberto is our youngest brother, and Roberto always had a sense of community. From growing up, you notice certain things in him. He always had like a leadership innovation or something. You know, you have three older brothers, and when you speak with him, he always was very wanting to know how things operate. He was into people, to know him. He was like, we always know he was special. He was into his community, into his family, into his church. And that's what, so he tried to implement, even all of us, although we are older than him, he always was like a leader.
Yes, indeed. And he was a Knight of Columbus at the Catholic Church here in Atlanta, Maryland, at the St. Joseph Catholic Church. I remember seeing him in his Knight of Columbus uniform. Have you ever seen him in that uniform, Ricky?
Yes, I was also, the same time he was inducted, I was inducted also. But I moved away to another place and he stayed here and he kept up with the St. Joseph
Indeed,
Knight
indeed.
of Columbus.
Okay, let me go back to Rafael for a minute. Brother Rafael, I want to thank you for your service, because before the police service, there's another service that you're engaged in. Tell us about your military service.
I came to the United States in 1972. I came to the Washington metropolitan area. My father sent me to go to Temple Business School in Washington, D.C., but I had other ideas. Upon arrival to Washington, D.C., I went and looked for the recruiter. The Army was drawing down from Vietnam. The Air Force weren't taking anyone except for the Marine Corps. So I went and joined the United States Marine Corps. That was April of 1973. I did the boot camp training, which was very tough,
At Paris Island?
at Paris Island, South Carolina. Graduated in August from the Paris Island boot camp in August of 1973. From there, I was assigned to Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune as a basic combat engineer. A basic combat engineer is a person that clears mines and booby traps. If the force going to invade a beach, you got the first unit in. So I got there, I did that for 6 months. And while I was there, the Marine Corps made a request. They needed a person to go to Marine Barracks, Washington, D.C. So I was selected to go to Marine Barracks, Washington, D.C.
And for those who do not know, Brother Rafael, that's a very important base. Why is that?
because we provide support to the White House, burials at Arlington, Camp David. We provide all the ceremonial awards that dignitaries coming to the United States. And being a member of the team, we travel throughout the United States and abroad to perform military drills at precision in the Marine Corps Silent Drill Platoon. So when I got to the barracks, they assigned me to Ceremonial Guard Company A, which consists of the color guard, color bearers, silent drill platoon, and first and second platoon. After the first 2 years as a member of Ceremonial Guard Company A, first platoon, I was selected to be a member of the Ceremonial Guard Company Silent Drill Platoon. It's just I was one of 24 Marines in the entire Marine Corps that was assigned to that unit. It was a tremendous spit and polish unit. You have to be always on time, squared away, exercise every day, and all this drill and practice and ceremonies.
So that's the elite of the elite.
That's the elite of the Marine Corps.
How long were you there?
I was at that barracks for 4 years.
Indeed.
But 3 years of the team, I was there for 3 years in 3 parade seasons. Our parade season runs from February to October.
Indeed.
So when I was getting out the service, and I completed that year before, I was getting out the Marine Corps in April, so they moved me to be the training NCO, which is the training non-commissioned officer, to be in charge of training the other troops and keeping the records of what they're doing, the push-ups, sit-ups, running, and grading the parade.
Indeed.
So in that position, I became a parade critiquer. I will sit in the stands with the people that view the parade, and I'll record and document who is late with their butt bangs and who is late making the right face and stuff like that. And at the end of that night, we'll go back to the barracks and we'll critique the parade.
Okay.
Because we strive for improvement all the time. Improve and improve.
Amazing, amazing. And Rafael, just for a bit there, you know, you've got military service. Our late brother Roberto has military service, and Ricky has got military service. So let me ask this question: how did your home training, your upbringing from your mother and father, prepare you for success?
Discipline, honor. If you give your word, you gotta do what you promised to do. Stay out of trouble, and make your family proud.
Those are powerful words. So in that sense now, let's get to Roberto. Ricky has given us a little bit about his leadership qualities as a young man. You made a way for him to come to the United States as well, I take it, as you did with Ricky. Tell us about that.
When I came up and joined the Marine Corps in 1974, I was living in Washington, D.C., and I'll go back to Panama, and I'll encourage all my people. I said, listen, guys, the place is good for the picking there, man. With our skills and abilities, we can do this. So my mother, I encouraged my mother to send Roberto to me. I'm 6 years older than Roberto. So Roberto came to me in D.C. and he was staying with me, but I took his credits from the Canal High School in Panama, took him to Cardosa Senior High School in Washington, D.C., and I went to try and enroll him in school there. When I showed the school principal his transcript, the principal told me, according to his transcript, he'd already graduated.
Amazing.
So I said, well, we need to get something with a graduation diploma. We can't just say, well, because his transcript graduated, I need something here. So I said, put him in the school.
How old is Roberto at the time?
Roberto is 16 at the time.
Okay.
So I asked the principal, put him in the school so he can finish the year and he can get a diploma.
Okay.
So they put Roberto in school. He went to Cardosa about a month or 2 months.
And that's in Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. So what happened now, what broke the camel block on this situation here, Thanksgiving I came by, and Roberto's out hanging out with our cousins. That night, the night before Thanksgiving, so Ricky was in the Army and I'm in the Marine Corps, and we got up because we were disciplined. He's still sleeping. We went out and had Thanksgiving dinner. We went to the Soldier Sailors Marine barracks to eat, Marine barracks, Fort McNair. We made it around a lot of military bases to eat Thanksgiving dinner.
So how many Thanksgiving dinners did you have?
Three, four, three. So we got back home. Roberto didn't get no Thanksgiving dinner. Roberto called my mother and complained. They did me wrong. They went out and eat. I didn't get no Thanksgiving dinner. My mother said, you coming back home right now. So Roberto went back to Panama and went back to school in the Canal Zone to finish up. So the next round now, you bring him back to the States the next year. He came to stay with me again. My mother instructed us, I want my son to have a college degree. I said, yeah, Ma, yeah, Dad. When I got him, I put him straight in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
So I put him in the Marine Corps because I felt that, hey, a man got to take care of himself before he can worry about education.
Okay.
Because I wasn't one paid, and I didn't want my parents to bear an obligation for any of us, so I put him in the Marine Corps.
Yes, sir.
So Roberto joined the Marine Corps, went off to boot camp. He came back to Washington, D.C., and was assigned to the Marine Corps Reserve Unit at Andrews Air Force Base. He was a jet mechanic for F-4 Phantom jets.
Amazing.
At Andrews Air Force Base.
Amazing.
So 6 months after Roberto doing his thing, all of a sudden, Roberto transferred into the Army and was gone to Texas.
Oh boy.
He moved to the Army and he was gone. So I was glad. made a command decision on what he wanted to do. So he joined the Army. He got down to Texas, and during that time, his unit, he was in field artillery. He was deployed to South Korea. And at that time, we were concerned because we had two brothers in Korea. Because Roberto was there and Lorenzo was there.
Lorenzo is Ricky. also.
Ricky they were there.
So when they say Lorenzo, Ricky, they talk about you.
Yeah, talking about me.
Okay.
So they were there, and at that time, we had some American troops were pruning some trees along the demilitarized zone, and so Korean troops came and attacked them and killed them. So our family was up worried because if this thing exploded, the troops in Korea just a tripwire. In other words, they got to hold off till the force comes in. So Roberto came back to Texas. So now I'm working in the Prince George County Police Department.
When did you join?
I joined in April 1977.
Okay.
So what happened is that
When you left the Marine Corps, what was your rank?
I was a corporal, E4. So what happened is that I was in the DC area. I heard about this Prince George County Police Department. I went and took the test. So I think it was like a Wednesday I took the test. And I passed the test. They told me, you passed the test, but we are testing for the class that's going to be coming up the next 6 months to a year. So I was disappointed at the time, but I was still in the Marine Corps. I was extended or re-enlisted. So I went back home. We didn't have cell phone or none of that stuff at that time. And I received a call. It was the Prince George County Police Department calling me, and they told me, come on back to Personnel Division. We want to talk to you again. So I went back, and they told me, this is what we're going to do. We're going to hire you pending a background investigation. And you have to, if you sign a waiver, that if we find anything detrimental in your background investigation, we'll terminate you. So I signed the waiver, so they put me in that class begin that Monday. So I went back and told the Marine Corps that I needed an early out because I got a job. So the Marine Corps gave me a 90 days early out. So I joined the Prince George County Police Department March 1977.
And how long did you serve?
I served at the Prince George County Police Department for 25 years. And at that time when I joined, there were 10 black officers in the entire department of 900 men.
Amazing.
10. And my group, 5 or 6 made us something like 18 or 19 African American officer, and I was one foreign-born officer. I was the first foreign-born officer that ever hired in the police department in Prince George County.
Amazing, amazing. And the police department at that time had a different reputation than it has today.
Well, the police department was coming off of that historical riot in 1968 in D.C. when they burned down D.C. And they had a federal commission, the Colonel, the federal,
The Colonel Commission,
yeah.
K-E-R-N-E-R. I've read
Right.
that commission report.
And they recommended that the police department must reflect its community. And they had a mandate to hire minorities and females. So they started to aggressively hire minorities and females. So when I got into the department, there was probably 20 black guys, about 8 white females and 1 black female. That was the composition of the police department. We had 6 district stations. And so when I came over,
What were the district stations? Can you name them?
district station were District 1 Hassville, District 2 Bowie, District 3 Sweet Pleasant, District 4 Oxon Hill, District 5 Laurel, and one more I can't remember, Clinton Station.
Okay.
6th district, but the majority of minority people was concentrated on the northern side of Prince George County and along DC borderline, which were Oxon Hill area, East Store area, Sea Pleasant area, and Hassville.
Yeah.
They sent me to Hassville because at that time, that was where the large concentration of West Indian and Hispanic people lived.
I see.
So they sent me into the Hassville area. So I was assigned to Hassville District 1, and at that time, I was basically one person that spoke Spanish.
Yeah.
The other gentleman that spoke it, he didn't want to deal with it. He's a white guy from Venezuela. So he didn't, his father was white from Texas, not from Venezuela, but he grew up in Texas, and he did not identify. So they put me into Langley Park. And
That's when the migrants were coming in from Salvador and
everywhere, the migrants from West Indies, everywhere they were coming. So 1977, they assigned me to Langley Park, and they told me, go out there and work with the community and take care of it. So I'm a rookie officer, learning police work, learning terminology. The first year in the police department.
And by the way, Rafael, you're the second boy. Leonardo is the first boy.
No, I'm the third. Ricky is the second.
Okay.
I'm the third.
And Leo is the first.
Elio's the first.
And Roberto is the fourth.
Roberto the fourth.
Okay. And your sister.
Bertina the fifth.
Yeah. So Bettina has your mom's name.
Yes.
Yes. And she was the HR director, human resources
She
director
was deputy director here.
for the
HR,
Prince George County.
Maryland.
Indeed. So I know we don't have a lot of time, so I want to go to when you brought Roberto into
Okay,
the
that's
force.
what I'm into. So now I'm in the police department, and they are wearing me out. Sometimes I work in Langley Park. An incident occur in Sea Pleasant District 3 or another district involving a Spanish person they can't talk to, they'll send me down there. Okay, so I was running around all over. I started a Spanish festival in Langley Park in 1979, and I was like the one-man crew. So one day, the police personnel person called me and asked me, hey, you know of anyone else that we could hire that could work like you? I said, yes, I have a brother. He's in the Army. So I called my brother, Roberto, and asked him, hey, you can be a police officer, you know? Roberto said, no, man, I like the Army. I'm having a good time here in Texas.
Yeah.
So, you know, I went and called to I went and spoke to my mother, the matriarch of the family. I said, Ma, Roberto could join the police department and it'd be a good career. So my mother called Roberto up. My mother spoke to him. Roberto got in a big, what type of car he had?
Buick.
Big Buick, and he and his wife drove from Texas to DC. Washington, D.C. Now remember now, Roberto only knew the barracks because I used to go to the barracks with me when I paraded there. So when Roberto got to D.C., Roberto don't know nothing about Prince George County. He called my mother and said, I'm at D.C. at the barracks. I don't know where y'all live. There's no GPS or navigation.
In those days.
Right. So my mother called Rick, and Rick told him, what you told him?
I tell him wait for me at 8 and high.
8 and I
Marine Corps
barracks.
All right, I'm living in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. This is something like 5-something in the morning. I get in my car, head down to 8 and I. At that time, only the Marine Corps guard behind his gate and Roberto on the street. I remember they told me what car he was driving. I come around, spin around, look at him and make sure. I said, follow me. And we took off to, at that time my mom was living in Bladensburg.
So your mom was already up here.
Yeah, our parents were here.
They live in near Capitol Plaza.
So who brought your parents up? You?
I did.
Okay,
I
good.
did.
Rafael, the kind of man, excuse me, when Rafael has something good, he wants to share it with everybody. He recruited me to come to the States. He recruited Roberto. He recruited my sister. And
What about Leonardo?
Leo,
He was recruited, but he came late.
He came late.
Was Leo in the service too?
Yeah, he did briefly in the Navy.
Yes.
Yes.
So everybody served.
Everybody served.
Everybody served.
And in addition
How
to,
important do you think that service was to your success
Well,
in the military?
military is very important for me. It provided me discipline. if I could be successful in the Marine Corps, I can be successful in anything I do.
Yes, sir.
Because that was the early formative years of my life. And you had to learn to take orders, to follow orders, and in order to give orders, you got to learn how to follow orders.
Yes, sir.
So that molded me. So when I went to the Prince George County Police Department, which was the top agency at that time in the United States, they didn't fool around. You came in, you go through the academy, they put you on probationary period, and if you couldn't cut it, brother, you're gone immediately.
Yes, indeed.
That's the way it was. No breaks. for us.
So you brought Roberto in, and
Right.
Roberto, how did he do?
Okay, so Roberto came in, and since he came up and he took the test and they weren't hiring, they put him to work in the records division for a while. They put him to work in communication. You know, you have to fill in a person. Remember, they hired him when they weren't hiring.
Yes.
He took his test, and they put him in a division where they could use his services till the class was ready.
Yes.
So Roberto came in, Roberto did that. The class began. Roberto graduated from the academy and assigned to Hassville now. So here you have two Hiltons at Hassville, Roberto Hilton and Rafael Hilton. So my sister now, she's going through dental school. She wants a dentist. And I look at her and I say, listen, you don't need to go to school to get a job. So I took her to the police, to the county personnel, and they hired the station clerk. So now she's a station clerk, and now they have, she has Hassville now, so you have Rafael, Roberto, and Bertina at District 1 Hassville Station working.
Amazing.
So one time in Prince George County, you always had a Hilton on the clock.
Amazing. Amazing. So Bettina eventually went on to,
What happened to Bertina now? Bertina, the station clerk, working shift work, and Chief Mitchell, is Deputy Kurt Watts, and all the officers like Bertina. So they move her up to work the Detective Bureau. Detective Bureau secretaries are the only that transcribe the criminal investigation cases. So she is doing that. So a captain came to work at the station, and I think it's Captain Studs. Captain Studs' wife was a director in the county personnel. So he told his wife about this black female that's sharp, squared away, and they borrowed Bertina for the county personnel, and she never came back. She never came back. They stole her from,
and then she became the what?
She worked her way up, deputy director up in the human resources, and she's retired recently, 2 years ago. She has a husband from the Virgin Islands, and her two daughters, Gina and Desi.
Yeah, her husband, Mr. Seeley,
Mr. Seeley.
his, it's a small world. His sister is Loma Seeley,
No, correct.
and she's the chief technology officer for the law firm.
Correct.
I wonder how that happened.
Well, it's all about networking.
That's right.
all
And that's
about
what you
networking.
did. I mean, just listening to you and Ricky, it just proves the point about networking and so forth. But let's talk about Roberto's service to our community.
Okay.
Because he distinguished himself as a police officer. So how far did he get? He
So
didn't
now-
get. He didn't get that far, did he?
So now Roberto is a patrol officer at Hassville. Okay? Hassville is known as A sector, Adam sectors. So all the cars that patrol in Hassville district are going to be designated A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, and 6. They put Roberto in A4B, Adam 4. So if you're working the midnight shift, you're called 1 Adam 4, okay? The day work shift is 2 Adam 4, the evening shift is 3 Adam 4. So Roberto's put shift 11, I'm on squad 41. So many a time we overlap because the shift was running 10-hour shift. So let's say Roberto come on at 4 to 2, and I come on at 10 to 8 in the morning, we overlap. So me and my brother running on a call. Both of us going into a situation, two brothers, because he may be 1 out of 4 and I'm 3 out of 4. The dispatcher say 1 out of 4 and 3 out of 4 take a complaint of shots fired. Both of us rolling in, brothers. I just said to myself, wow, this guy, well, fortunately nothing ever happened. And then my sister is station clerk. So Roberto doing such a good job, and had me run up and down the place when he came. So they came and approached Roberto and said, if you want to be a homicide investigator. I didn't want to do that. Roberto went off and became a sergeant in homicide. So
Amazing.
he went over there and he did an outstanding job. Roberto decided that he wanted more education. Went to Johns Hopkins while a police officer.
Amazing.
Roberto graduated from Johns Hopkins. So Roberto
So you got a
made-
bachelor's degree in criminology?
Yes. So Roberto made lieutenant, captain, major, lieutenant colonel, colonel, and was appointed chief of police.
Amazing.
So that is Roberto. But I need to go
And
back.
he became the first Hispanic chief of police
Yes,
in the
he became the
DMV.
first black Hispanic chief of police in the Washington metropolitan area.
Yes, indeed. Amazing story. Amazing story. And I, want to thank you, Ricky, because, you were the one who introduced me after that meeting we had at the police station more than 25 years ago. And once he became chief, he had a signature program. It wasn't that he started it, but certainly in the county, he promoted the idea of community policing. What did you, if I were to ask you to define community policing, how would you describe
Okay.
it?
The community policing started, basically, tell you the truth, I started community policing in Langley Park. Back then, nobody was doing this till the Prince George County got a grant from the federal government, and they call it cooperative communication. And they took me from patrol, opened an office in Langley Park, and put me there. So I was living in Oxon Hill. I didn't know these folks. So, God would inspire us. I went to the Spanish Catholic Center, who were providing all these community services for the folks. They were helping them with food and direction. But these are new people coming here. And give an example of that. New people came in the 70s. They couldn't put their kids in school because they don't have no green card. They couldn't do that. They get a license. If they get a car, they'll get 2 license plates. They'll put 1 on each car. So we're having major problems. So when they put me out there now, I had to figure, how can I get information to these people? So I connected with Spanish Catholic Center. I was putting out flyers there. People that had domestic abuse, I'll meet them there at the center. And if the person has to be arrested, we go over to the house and arrest the person that did this thing to the woman. The state was not giving a driver's license at the time. So I was able to meet with the governor of Maryland, and they decided to give them the driver's license number with a TIN number. Because I told them, we have a lot of hit and run accidents, because if a person is driving without a license and he hits somebody, gonna run. So the governor, they gave them the license, then when the terrorists came out and got forged information, then they decided to shut it down. So that's where Roberto got the big, Roberto come up there and see, and Roberto started doing it too, because people come to us.
So you're not doing simple law enforcement, arresting people for criminal infractions. You're actually almost a social worker.
Yes.
You're helping the society, in particular the migrant community, the immigrant community rather, to navigate the system and to be able to find resources. And so you're working in the community in a very intimate way. Is that right?
Yes, we're providing information referral.
Yeah.
So now we're doing that now. The park and planning came over to me and I said, hey man, we have a lot of Hispanic people living here. We should try and do a festival. This is 1970, 79. And I said, well, I don't know. But when people come to you to get something done, they want results. So I said to myself, the chief of police, he don't come to Langley Park. They don't. I'm in charge of Langley Park. And I used to just do things. You need a permit to shut down New Hampshire Avenue? I did not. I assembled a group of people and I escorted with my police car in the front from New Hampshire. There used to be Corvette there in New Hampshire University. I went to the Tacoma Langley Center. And when the first festival started, and every year it grew and it grew and it grew until like 1982 or 83. Our Honorable County Executive Paris Glendenning called me and said, hey Hilton, the county executive we hear the festival in Langley Park and you're the coordinator and I want to participate. I want to be Grand Marshal. I say, yes, sir. So when the county executive called the chief of police and told me about this big festival that they didn't know about, they called me in. Tell us about this festival. What's up with that? I said, well, sir, this is what I've been doing.
So Rafael, you became the sort of governor of
Yes.
the Hispanic community
Park
without the
is-
authorization
yes.
of the chief.
Without them, they didn't know about the festival till it got big that the county executive heard about it.
Amazing.
And he called me and said, I want to be Grand Marshal. I said, yes, sir. So I went up to Capital Cadillac and they gave me a convertible to drive the county executive.
Yes, sir.
But it was a long weekend. They gave me the car for 4 days. I was having that car having a good time.
Rafael, I think at some point in time, the community needs to honor you for being one of those trailblazers in community engagement. So the whole
Yeah.
community policing
Right.
idea came from that history
Right.
of service.
Right.
And go ahead.
Right,
please.
and Roberto was there with me now because
Yes.
he's a police officer.
Yes.
So when they saw Hilton, they kept at him, and they have both of us doing it now.
I see.
So Roberto picking up, and he learned in my same people.
Yes, indeed.
And as the higher rank he went, he had more authority to get things done.
Yes, sir.
So Roberto took over the mantle up in the chain of command with the commanders, so
Yeah.
he could make things happen quicker.
I see.
But
So-
Paris Blending and Chief Mitchell, those guys were instrumental in giving us the reign. Captain Spud Blake was my captain, and those guys were very supportive. Look, I had a Hispanic radio show
Yeah.
with Roger Borinquen, Alejandro Carrasco. I'll go on the show and explain. Now, when Roberto came on, I gave him some turn to go on the show and explain.
And you're
things that
speaking
he
at
used
a
to
time
know.
in Spanish,
Yes,
of course.
yes.
Let me just go over to Ricky, and I'll come back with you, and then we'll wrap up. Ricky, you didn't serve in the police force as your two illustrious brothers did, but you did illustrious things yourself. Because after you left the Air Force after 26 years, you went into further public service. Where did you go?
When I came out the Army, before I got to the Air Force, because you have a service commitment to the United States of 6 years. I did 3 years, 2 months, 28 days. And we need a job. Everybody need a job in this family. So I went and I became a guard at the Washington Aqueduct in Washington, D.C.
That's provided the water.
Yeah, that provided all the water for the Washington metropolitan area. And from there on, that money wasn't too good. So Metro was hiring, and I went to the AA mechanic in Metro. 1979, Metro had just started getting in the Washington metropolitan area.
So you're working on buses and trains, or just buses?
Just locomotive, the train.
Yeah.
Just train, out of 601 T Street. I didn't like that because they hire you for a share. Rafael and our neighbors then, and I would transfer back. I was able to transfer back because at that time we had a fuel crisis. Big massive meeting, last hired, first fired. And I'm number 17 out of 19 mechanic. I know if anything happened, I'm on the chopping block. So I went back to the federal government. I was able to get back to the federal government, Washington Aqueduct, and I worked my way up there all the way to machine shop foreman. I'm still in the U.S. Army. Now I joined the Air National Guard in Andrews. So 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year. And I'm good at what I do, not to sound like I'm bragging. So I get a lot of leeway in there. I could go and work almost any time when they deploy. I would hold the base down in Andrews and still go to my work. Roberto coming along right then, and we close them down. We are young. I was 29 years, Roberto thing. But let me tell you a story before that. We are in Korea. I'm in Korea. Roberto's supposed to be in Fort Bliss, Texas. Fort Bliss, right? Roberto's supposed to be in Fort Bliss. And I started getting Roberto mail. Hey, this is not my mail. Roberto Hilton, this is my brother. So one day Roberto show up at my barracks. Roberto
In Korea?
In Korea. My little brother show up at my barracks.
Were you in Seoul?
No, I was in Camp Humphrey. Roberto was at Camp Casey. Camp Casey is the place when you see in MASH, where the choppers coming in with the wounded. Roberto right there on the DMZ. This is a young 20-year-old man with a 45 on his side and an ADA battery. As a little boy, 20 years old, and we are in Korea. I'm 27, and both of us there, like Rafael was saying earlier. So we're coming back now in the States, and Roberto, my little brother, was very unique. This is about Roberto. Roberto was, anything he did, somehow or the other, Roberto became the leader, right? Even when we were a little boy, Roberto was in charge of the band, in charge of the warband. We're playing basketball, Roberto in charge. We go on the baseball team, Roberto in charge. And he have a large following because of our mom.
Is that his personality or?
Personality.
Our mom always believed like you can do good. Our mom was like 5'2", my father was 6 foot. My mother ran this family. You gotta make the name proud. You know, I go out there and do no stupidity.
She ran it like a Marine Corps.
Yes, my mother was like a drill sergeant.
Yes.
And my mother was 4 boys and 1 girl. Roberto was unique. Roberto, sometimes you can't even believe the man passed.
Yeah, I know. It's tough.
But he worked his way up. He and Rafael was a team. And Roberto always was craving education.
Yes.
And he tried to convince me to go to the university with him when he was going for his master's. I said, Roberto, I can't pay that kind of money because now I'm transferring into my career like all the policemen had more upward mobility than me as a machine shop foreman. So Roberto went, got his bachelor's degree, and
Got his master's as well.
got his master's as well. He wanted me to go with him to get the master's. But my own was like in industrial engineering, and Roberto owned his criminology. That's quite a different,
Yeah.
a big difference. But he was able to make it.
Yeah.
He was outstanding. Good grades.
Yeah, you went to Hopkins, right?
John Hopkins.
For the master's too, or you went
No,
somewhere
I
else?
don't. It
Yeah,
went
John
some.
Hopkins in Baltimore. Yeah, everything in John Hopkins.
Okay. But he went, and the police department were very supportive to my brother, my family. Rafael started the police. From when he was young, Rafael was in a program in Panama. A lot of people, I know this about Roberto. Rafael,
Yeah, we had that right along. Everybody,
Right
a lot of more people I found participated in the program.
Rafael participated in
Was
that.
it like,
program.
what do you call it?
Ride along.
Ride along, okay.
Roll with a police officer in town. Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Say a few words about Marissa, Roberto's beautiful wife, and his 2 kids, Jamal and Jarima.
Well, Roberto, when Roberto disappeared in Texas, Roberto was going around. Marissa came to the States also, and she was in college in Texas.
She was from Panama.
She came from Panama to college in the USA.
Was she born in the zone too?
Yes, we all were born in Canal. So.
Does she have West Indian background as well?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Same as ours.
Okay. Barbados, Jamaica? Or?
I think that's the setup. I'm not sure, but
Okay.
it's West Indian descent parents.
Okay. And what did she do? What did she study?
Well, Marissa was in I think her degree is in language.
I'm not sure
I'm
about
not sure.
her. You have to ask her about that. 'Cause I don't want to say something that is
Yeah.
not.
But basically, they had 2 kids.
Right.
Yes, and they've done very well.
Exactly. And his second daughter, Marissa, I'm sorry,
Jarima.
Jarima is about to get her doctorate.
Yes.
And she is she was young, she was a avid reader. Jamal graduated from college also. He's run a firm. I don't know exactly what, but
Well, we can't go there because we're not sure on details. You
Yeah.
know, because everybody living their life,
That's right.
and this thing is shocking, and we're still trying to learn because there are other little things that other people might know that we don't know.
Yes, indeed.
So overall picture is that Roberto has accomplished what he had to do. The Lord took him because the Lord wanted him. And the Lord will take every one of us, and all we can do is celebrate life.
Yes.
So I'm about celebrating my brother's life and the good times that we had together and the friendship he has developed and the pride, and said to Roberto, job well done.
Right.
Indeed. Well done. Well done. And I just want to say on behalf of the Christian family and our law firm, we are honored to be associated with the Hilton family, first through Rafael, and then of course Leonardo, and then Leonardo Roberto, and of course Brother Ricky. And in conclusion, if you were to be, instructive to a young person coming up in the world, the history that your family has had in this country, before that in Panama, what are the value system engineering points that you think a young person should take from your story and that of Roberto and Leonardo in way of making a success of their lives? I'll start with you first, Rafael, and I'll go to Ricky, and then I'll come back to you to wrap up.
All right, to quickly put something together, I'll say you gotta believe in God, you have to have faith. Then you have to respect your parents.
Yes.
I know you respect your parents by doing good things,
Yes.
okay? And then our country, you have to respect our fellow countrymen, our neighbors, our friends, because when you get in a situation that your loved one has passed, you need that support of your friends, your family to carry through, because we all are going to go through this. And you gotta remember, the same way you love yours, I love mine. And that's the way I think we should live as people. We're only here for a brief minute. 100 years of life at the back, 70 years, my brother said the Bible promises us, that's nothing. If we look around, we are gone. So people that I met during my life, and I go back to my childhood friends, family, I love them dearly.
Yes.
And that's how I'm living my life now. I just try to be a happy person, do the right thing, and stay away from stressors.
Yes. And Brother Rafael, I want to say that you didn't mention it, but you represent it, and your whole family represents it. And that's the word KIND. You've been kind, and the kindness that you showed to me back then is something that has allowed for us to grow.
Right.
And if we had more of that in our community and in the world, we'd have a better world. But I just want to thank you for your service. We all loved Roberto. I'm going to ask Brother Ricky.
And I'd like to thank you for your support. Our community always thank us for our service. We have to thank our community for their support, because without support, we ain't got nothing going on.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Words of wisdom. Brother Ricky, final words for Roberto, what he represented, and what would you say to a young person? Because I know he believed in young people. He supported young people. And,
Right. My brother Roberto if I appear to be confused because it's hard, Roberto believed in family. Roberto was a sharing man. Roberto wanted to help people. He did a lot of things. And mainly, if I had to advise someone anything, do the best you can, believe in your family. Even when no one looking at you, do the best you can. That was Roberto. Roberto would call, and he liked to read, and we would have love to read also, and we would discuss what you think about this or that. But the main thing with Roberto, it was always about if he knew what was happening and he didn't share it with anyone, he was talking all the time, love, peaceful, get rid of the stressor. And it's like, wow, we were getting this thing, we were supposed to be going to this, and we were supposed to be doing that, we were supposed to be going by Panama and go to this Afro-Caribbean thing that they started in Panama. And it was, tell the kids, be faithful, keep your word up. That's what he was. It was about his community and his family, his church.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, Brother Rick, or Lorenzo.
Yep. That's me.
That's right. I want to just thank you again your service, and I want to just echo what you said about family, community. Of course, his church, we know he was a member of the Knights of Columbus, and he will be memorialized on the 5th of June, 2024. I won't be there with you because I'm on travel, but the family will be there. And I wanted to come out today to salute the memory of our beloved brother, Roberto, Colonel Roberto Hilton. I was just going through my phone, and I didn't know I had that many pictures. That's the thing about Google. The phone saves the pictures going back years. And, we will remember him. And we will speak to Brother Leonardo, who was part of our firm for many years, and with whom we got to go to Panama and represent the Panama Canal Workers Union, of which, were you all members of the union, by the way?
Yes.
I was not. I left.
You left.
I did not work in the canal. I left.
You left, yes, indeed. But to the entire Hilton family, to his wife Marisa, Jamal, Jarima, of course, to Bettina, to yourselves, Lorenzo and Rafael and Leo, and to all others, who have been part of this mission. God bless you, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.